All right, welcome to another episode of the Freezin NFC North Podcast, episode 56. We are back, 2023 season preview with the NFC North teams. We're going to take a little bit of a approach this week. We're going to do homer takes versus reality takes. Should be a lot of fun. But once again, welcome in our Packer guy, Dale from AvgCheese. How are you doing?
Great. Thanks again for having me on. It's good to be here.
Absolutely. And seventh letter, you're under the weather, but you are here.
I am here. I will never miss a show. I got my blue rag, my blue juice, and I'm waiting for next Thursday. 8 days away. Can't wait.
It's coming. It's coming. And also coming back, Craig, GA_Skull on Twitter. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm great. Thanks for having me back.
Well, we are getting ready for the season. Preseason is done, and roster cuts and all that. And as a Bears fan, I'm excited for week one and all that. We're going to go ahead and start with the homer takes. So this is, I've been interacting on Facebook and Twitter, X or whatever it's called, with so many fun fans here in the division and in the off season. It's been crazy. So might as well, start off with some homer takes and get everyone's reaction. And we're going to start off with the team that won the division last year, Craig. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to throw out here a 2023 season prediction headline, and then we're all going to react. I'll let you react first, and then we'll kind of go from there. Are we ready?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. 2023 Minnesota Vikings season homer prediction headline: Kirk Cousins throws for 5,000 yards and has a top. Vikings have a top 5 defense under Flores as the Vikings reach the Super Bowl. Craig, react.
Absolutely, it's going to happen. It's 100%. Look, their captain, Kirk O'Chains here is going to lead us. He's the clutch performer from last year. He might not choke in the playoffs like he did last year, and he's going to lead us to that Super Bowl. So I think, if he has a top 5 defense, realistically, that team is unstoppable. He had a bottom 5 defense last year and went 13-4. So it's. Top 5 defense would be all he needs.
Do they build a statue for Kirk if he gets the Super Bowl and wins it?
Oh, they should. I'll get a Kirk Cousins tattoo on if he wins the Super Bowl.
All right, seventh letter. Go ahead.
I was like, 5,000 yards might not be the craziest thing in the world for Kirk Cousins, but yeah, that top 5 defense I think is the most unrealistic part of that headline there. That defense was abysmal last year. 30th to 32nd in every statistic you can think of. It was bad.
Well, in that secondary right now, there's issues with it right now also, right?
Oh, yeah. There's basically, there's very little improvement. You signed Murphy Jr. from Arizona, and that's the only improvement, but you lost Patrick Peterson. It's Cam Bynum is not looking like he's developing at all. You got young cornerbacks. That's the stretch. The defensive line is thin and it's just not very great. So, that defense, Brian Flores doesn't have much to work with. And if he somehow gets that a top 15 defense, I think we will be, very pleased with that.
Seventh letter, what are your thoughts?
Like he said, I think the 5,000 yards from Kirk Cousins, I would say he got better with receivers. Addison, I would say it's an upgrade from Thielen. It's like Osborne. And you got the best receiver in the world over there. So I could see 5K. Top 5 defense, no. And I don't think that they'll get those breaks that they got last year. So no, I don't see that. But you know what? If you're in the tournament, if you make it to the playoffs, it depends on who's hot when you get in there. So anything's possible. I saw the Cardinals get to the Super Bowl before. Mm-hmm. I would have never thought I'd ever see that happen. So ever since then, I knew my time would come eventually. So.
What about you, Dale?
Well, you do notice that the headline says they will reach the Super Bowl because we know they'll never win one.
Oh, they did.
Glad you caught that.
Right.
You caught that. Yes.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And the only way they would win a playoff game is if it was played at noon on a Sunday, right? Because Captain Kirk is not winning a primetime game anytime soon.
Well, if it's home, I'm sure they could do something to the windows, right?
Yeah, right. Can they pick what time they want to play their games if they're like the higher seed? We want to play at noon on Sunday, otherwise we can't win. So,
I tell you what, yeah, I mean, when you look at Kirk Cousins for throwing for 5,000 yards, I think it is because of that defense, because of the secondary. They're going to need to stay in games. And tell you what, I mean, yeah, seventh letter, you're right. If anybody's in the tournament, it's possible they can go on a run. And I really think Kirk Cousins is underrated as a player. I mean, the losses aren't all on him.
No, they give him a terribly hard time, like they do most quarterbacks in the NFL. You know what I mean? I mean, both ways though. You know, some people, like in your case with the Fields thing, they give him a crazy amount of praise. But I like with all this praise that this man is getting, I hope he delivers this year, just for like the sake of freaking black quarterbacks. I swear, because they're gonna fail. If he don't do good this year, they're gonna be done with him. And I pray for him to do well.
All right. Say that one more time.
Oh, you heard me? I pray that Justin Fields does well this year with all those with better weapons, or at least shows that he can complete passes above 60%.
Love that. All right, so here's a Bears 2023 season homer prediction headline. Justin Fields wins the MVP as the Bears go 13-4. Dale, what do you think?
You know, I always say great things about Justin Fields. Like, I think he has the physical talent to be an MVP. I just don't know. And it's not I think he can mentally handle it too. I just don't know if he can process fast enough. That's what we're going to find out, right? Now he's got DJ Moore. He's got Darnell Mooney, Chase Claypool. Sorry. He's got weapons. He should be better. Now we're going to find out if he's an NFL quarterback or not.
He's got Bobby Tonyan, so he should be good.
I like Tonyan.
I did too, but when you sign a man to a $3 million 1-year contract, that means we don't really think you're all that good, and if you're not, we'll cut you. That's what Tonyan is right now.
Craig, what do you think about Justin Fields?
Oh, I think he's the worst quarterback in the NFC North. So I am a detractor against Justin Fields. I just don't see it from him. I don't see, like you said, that processing speed. I don't see him picking out receivers. I mean, he's athleticism. He's off the charts. He's obviously the most athletic quarterback in the division. I just don't see him as a legitimate. I don't see the development. I haven't seen anything from him last year that was like, oh man, he's really developing. He's turning the corner. I just saw him make plays with his feet. And you know, that's great, but I haven't seen that passing game development. I mean, I don't think they helped him out much with the receivers, but I mean, I don't see it from him. I really don't. I think that's. I mean, I don't think you can go from worst to 13 wins. That's for sure. But I think you're stretching for 6, 7, 8 wins this year, and I think that's optimistic in my opinion.
It's the same thing though that we saw Lamar Jackson win MVP. You know, not the greatest passer either. You know what I mean? So, and with those legs and with the ability to extend plays, he can dump off and get a 30 to 20 touchdowns. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. It's possible. We've seen this precedent. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
I don't know about 13-4. I don't know about.
I tell you what, Craig, you're saying a lot more eloquent than Dave would. You know, basically Dave would just say Justin Fields sucks. So I appreciate the insight here, which I totally understand. I mean, Justin Fields definitely has a lot to grow on. I do agree. Seventh letter. I mean, you know, dump offs, those things can really add to the yards.
Yes,
I mean, crazier things have happened. I was actually in an argument with a podcaster on a fantasy football league this week that said Daniel Jones is going to be a top 3 quarterback this year. And so crazier things have happened, but Justin Fields is definitely, in my opinion, I think the league's opinion is better than Daniel Jones.
Wow. I think Justin Fields can do, and Daniel Jones did a great job for the Giants last year. I think Justin Fields can definitely do at least that, if not more, because of his, athletic ability. So, and Daniel Jones is a great athlete as well, but he's no Justin Fields. So, if he does that, you know what I mean? He don't got Saquon either. You know what I mean? That's another
That's
thing.
true. He's got Roshan. Purple and gold here supporting you, Craig. Say Kirk Cousins never got 5K. Lions have never won the North. That also is true. Well,
they've won the Central, but they've never won the North.
Central, wow.
Yeah.
You have to
I
go
think
back
my
to the
kids were
NFC
alive.
I was alive for that. I was alive for that. It's been a while. Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre have been running the division forever. The Vikings had to step in there sometimes to get something. I don't know about the Bears. The Bears did a few years. That's right. The Urlacher year and all that. So
speaking of the Lions,
it's been tough. It's been tough.
Speaking of the Lions here we go. 2023 Detroit Lions season homer prediction headline. Lions go 14-3 to earn the top spot in NFC playoffs, steamroll the Eagles to reach the Super Bowl, and Hutchinson wins the Defensive Player of the Year.
Okay. Homer. Yes. Hell yeah. I can see that. But because I swear I know we could beat the Eagles. 14-3 is what I said at the beginning when the schedule came out. That's what I said. And I stand by that. Lions winning, and it hate to break it to you. Like, okay, yeah, Bob Quinn. Oh, Bob Quinn. Wow. Why you pick that name?
Right.
That's the guy that's
drunk right now, Bob. What's going on? Again?
Yeah. I don't, Hutchinson.
I'm afraid of him, I think.
That's my. I saw him in the flesh before, man. I'm a big guy. I'm 6'4", 6'5", 230. I saw him in the flesh. That's a big dude, yo. I can see it. He got the motor for it. He put on a lot of muscle this offseason. He looks bigger. He looks more like his body matured. I wouldn't put it past him. I wouldn't put it past him. I wouldn't be surprised if he's definitely in the Pro Bowl this year or All Pro.
Dale, what do you think?
I think Aiden Hutchinson is a great player. I agree. I think that of all the things up there, that's the most likely to happen. I mean, they have a really tough schedule, and the way that things run for the Lions this year, 14-3 is going to be a tough ask. They're a good team, but their schedule doesn't work well for them. The way the games are situated, even though the North plays basically the same schedule, the Lions have it in an order that I don't think is great for them. But I still do think that they're the best team in the North.
Yeah, I mean, starting out right away at KC, I mean, we're going to find out, if they're ready. I mean, KC obviously is legit on the road in a big moment. We'll see. We'll see if maybe Jared Goff is the next Kirk Cousins.
The next.
Meaning he's going to pad his stats and throw for 5,000 yards.
And not perform when it matters.
We run the ball too much. We kind of like I told you, you gotta rub the back of Goff's neck. Got to touch his head a lot. It's all right, you know what I mean?
You're doing okay.
Yeah, you're doing all right. You're doing a good job. Just let him run the ball, let him hand the ball off 25 times, and let him play action you to death and timing routes. Keep him safe. I don't want him to throw 5,000 yards. I don't even want that.
Right. Because they're losing games.
Out of him. He's not that.
Well, so that's the thing. Yeah, I mean, when it matters though, when you need is a quarterback at the end. Obviously, I mean, it was against the Packers in the year. I mean, it's not necessarily a top level team last year, but when it matters in the playoffs against the Eagles, I mean, that Eagles defense is going to be I think they're going to be amazing this year. Well, at least on maybe the front seven, the front. Anyway, so that's going to be interesting.
We could have been the GM for their team. Just pick Georgia.
Pick Georgia.
Get like old running backs from Georgia too. Fuck it. Let's just grab people from Georgia.
Just the wrong color G for this division.
Right.
So speaking of that, G, here we go to my favorite, the Green Bay Packers 2023 season. Are you ready for this, Dale?
I'm holding on to my computer. I'm ready for this.
All right, here we go. 2023 season homer prediction for the Packers. Jordan Love leads Packers to playoffs at 12-5. That's all I could muster. Sorry, Dale.
That's happening. So now what are we going to talk about?
All right. How is that happening?
If Jordan Love has to throw for 4,000 yards, they're not going to win 12 games. If they can be balanced and run the football for the first time in almost my lifetime, I think the Packers will win more games. Will they win 12? They're going to have to sneak some games that they absolutely shouldn't win. And the defense has to play to its, we have 10 first-round picks on this defense, and now they need to play like first-round picks. I mean, that's how it's going to happen. Is it going to happen? Hell no, it's not going to happen. I'd love, as a Packer fan, for that to happen, but it's just not there. Again, the schedule doesn't line up really that well for the Packers either. They're not going to win 12 games, but I'd love to see that.
They got some they got some tough games at Denver. I mean, if you just kind of look at it, I mean, at Chicago, regardless of what you think Chicago is right now, it's on the road in Jordan Love's first game, kind of baptism by fire, baptism by getting his leg ripped off by a bear. But we'll see how that goes.
I thought what you meant to say was we're going to transfer ownership of the Bears from Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love on that day.
I tried to type that out. I just couldn't. My hands, my Chicago, it just couldn't type that out. That really is the kind of the most Homer thing. Yes.
Virginia McCaskey is going to sign over the Bears to yet another Packer quarterback.
I tell you what, I am very, very confident that the Bears are going to beat the Packers in week 1. And we'll talk about a lot of that next week. But when you look at, if the Bears lose to the Packers week 1, it's going to be a meltdown in Chicago. It really is. I mean,
they better,
right? It better be.
They better beat the Packers. They better.
I mean, I think the Packers are probably going 1-4 or some 0-5 to start. That's a tough 5-game stretch to start the season.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Jordan Love, as much as the talent that Justin Fields has, I don't think he's developing very well. I mean, I don't even think Jordan Love has that much talent to begin with. So I'm not seeing it. Maybe I'm wrong, or maybe that's my Homer purple glasses coming on. But Craig, I think we finally are going to see the Packers without a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Craig, did you just give Justin Fields a compliment?
I did. He is very talented. Oh yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna replay that one over and over again and put that on your Twitter or your X or whatever.
It'll lead you to a solid 5 wins this year. Don't worry.
5 wins. When they start off like 4-1, let's have you on the podcast so we can.
Hey, I will jump on and admit I am wrong, and I was horribly wrong about the Packers if they start off 4-1.
All right.
Yeah. So when you look at, I mean, the first game, I mean, NFL was incredibly smart to make that. I mean, that's just, I mean, obviously ticket prices are crazy for that game when you look at it, but both teams can go either way with that win or loss. I mean, if the Packers win, I mean, obviously, regardless of their season, they're going to be talking, going back and forth with Matt Ramage, good old Packer fan on Facebook. It's just going to be, it's going to be talking either way. Whatever team wins is going to keep talking.
Yeah, the Packers better. The Bears better beat the Packers. Yes.
Oh, I'm gonna be
all the field
all this lip these Bears been having. They better. Yep.
The 7th letter. They do this every offseason.
All right, it's different. It's different this year.
Definitely
different. There's no Aaron Rodgers. There's no Aaron Rodgers.
This is our year. Since 1985 or whatever, in their year.
It's definitely gotta beat them this time. They better
have to. All right, Purple and Gold says, "I'll take that bet." That the Bears are going to beat Packers. Hopefully, he means that. Here we go. Bears won its first and lost 14 in a row. Yes, that did happen. Thankfully, we have a general manager that doesn't care about the
winning
preseason winning right now. Bob Quinn throwing some great stuff out here. I have the Vikings win with 6 wins max. They have no defense. Choke artist Chloe's QB. Okay. I can see the Vikings, not winning very many games. I think I'm on the same wavelength as Bob.
I mean, I can see the argument to regressing and not winning all those close games. That's off. I don't think we're going to go 13-4 again. I think there's going to be some losses in there that we won last year. But yeah, I don't know about 6 wins. That seems a little low.
Well, let's get back then to we did the homer prediction. So let's start with you, Craig. Then the more realistic headline. Give us a realistic headline for the Vikings, and we're doing even keel. And so get ready for your even keel one coming up, 7th letter, because I know you're drinking the Kool-Aid, but we'll give you a little bit of time. So Craig, go ahead on the Vikings.
Yeah, the Vikings. Realistic headline to me is they're fighting down the stretch for Detroit for the division. I don't think it's a 13-win team where they run away with a 5-game margin like they did last year. I think it's they're neck and neck, and they play the Lions too the last 3 weeks of the season, and that last game of the season might determine the division. I mean, Detroit's still Detroit, so it's hard for me to believe they're going to be that. It's still hard for me to predict them to win 10 wins because I think it's just Detroit. But they're getting there, and their defense is strong, and they're going to be competing with the Vikings. I don't know what the Vikings defense is going to look like. That scares me, and that could go wrong. Putting my trust in Brian Flores to figure it out with the young guys at cornerback and basically a very thin defensive line. So the defense might blow the whole thing up, and that's the one worry if you're a Vikings fan. I think the offense is going to be top 5 in the NFL. Top 6, 7, whatever that. It's going to be a top like it was last year. Top offense in the NFL. The defense is a worry, but we're hoping the coaching staff can take care of that and squeak out another division win.
What about Alexander Madison? I mean, is he gonna, hold up for the season? I mean, obviously they brought in Myles Gaskin. I mean, they're, trying to shore up the running back room. Obviously there's a lot of questions whether he can handle the load for the entire season.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Madison fan either. I think he lacks some vision and explosiveness in there. He's a strong runner. He gains a good amount of yards. He's had a couple 100-yard games in his career. He's shown he can step in. He hasn't done it for 17 games, and we're going to see that this year. I do worry that offense. We lack the running game explosion that we saw with Cook. He did dance around a little bit and lose yardage more than he should. So you're going to probably get rid of some of that, but also give up some of that explosiveness on the other side. And so, I mean, like I said, I'm not a huge fan of Madison. I kind of wish they would have brought in Kareem Hunt or traded for Taylor or one of those guys that kind of have that belt, that running back. But I mean, there's so many holes on the defense that it probably would have been better off spending the money on that side, and they didn't really do either one.
Agreed.
Craig, all that offense.
Yeah.
Then you got to pay. You got to pay 18.
Craig, do you know Alexander Madison, against what defenses he had his best games?
Oh, I don't. Off the top
7th
of my
letter
head.
should.
Probably us.
It was against the Lions, yeah.
Yeah, he kills us. But we busy trying to defend all them receivers that y'all had.
Yeah.
Y'all went from Diggs to 18, so it's like
And now we have Addison. If he turns out to be what we think he's going to be, plus Hawkinson out there. I mean, you got 3 top pass catchers there, so I think that's going to be the passing game is going to be strong. The running game. I think Madison's going to have some holes because they're so worried about the passing game.
Absolutely. All right, 7th letter, Detroit Lions realistic headline. All right, maybe pour out some of the Kool-Aid a little bit for us here.
All right, sure. Let me wet this thing real fast.
I didn't say drink it.
Well, again, I probably am a little bit less optimistic for the Vikings to even be competing with us later on in the season. I think they'll be kind of done by, week 12.
The Vikings will be done?
Yeah, they'll be done by week 12. I just don't think if you can't stop nobody and everybody everybody kind of figured it out toward the end of the year. Like they can't stop us. So the Giants basically just, all right, we could score on them. They would have, if it was like 10 minutes left in that regular season game, they'd have beat them in the regular season. I think the Lions, I think the Packers defense is a little bit too good for us to be sleeping so hard. because for some reason, even when Aaron Rodgers wasn't playing well with the offense, the Packers defense played a little better last year. And they get the pass rusher back. He was hurt last year, so he comes back this year. They drafted another pass rusher. So I think the defense will make them a little bit more competitive than we all realize. I mean, that could be just the Packers just always been good to, in that division since I've been a fan of the Lions. So I think it'll be a little bit closer than people. I think it'll be like more so the Packers than the Vikings, to be honest.
I'm not liking all this Packer love, but keep going.
I don't like the Packers, but it's just they always been there, and they make these decisions that we don't truly understand, and then they just still in it. Like, it's been so many times they were right. Even with Aaron Rodgers, they were writing the Packers off. Is he done? And then he comes back and wins 2 more MVPs. So it's like we don't know. We know that they always draft defense. I know that, and they can win big. They win big games. So I think it'll be a little bit closer to the Lions and Packers at the end of the season. I don't think that we'll. I know in my heart of hearts that we won't go 14-3, but 13-4.
13. Only off by 1 game.
That's what I think. I really think we're going to be really good this year. I think we'll surprise. I think all those tough games in the beginning of the season, like we learned from all the losses, and we kind of know how to win now, and we play people really, really tough. And I think we got the talent now to play defense like we wanted to play last year. We got people in the secondary. We got Mosley back. Thank God. Well, not back. He never played for us, but Montgomery's there.
1,500 yards is a lot there, but hey,
no, not when. I don't think he'll have 1,500 yards, but I do think he'll have 12 touchdowns, 800 yards. I was gonna say, tell you what I like about the Lions. When you talk about like a team, and this is probably a little bit about the Packers too. I do like when teams have multiple options at running back. I mean, then if there's an injury, right. Or you don't have to rely so heavily on one running back. I mean, right.
In fantasy, I'm not necessarily one that's on the Jahmyr Gibbs hype where I'm going to draft him in fantasy, because I think David Montgomery is going to get a lot of the touchdowns like he had before, and I just he's going to get a lot of the tough yards as well. I do. But I think it will be better than it. I think David Montgomery is a good addition. He'll score a lot of touchdowns for us, but Gibbs is the feature back. He's going to be the one that gets the ball. They're going to throw it to him. They're going to hand it to him. They probably throw it to him a lot more while J-Mo is out. So he's going to have the first 5-6 games, he's going to be looking like the next best thing since sliced bread, because we're going to get him the ball because he's too explosive. And that's all we've ever wanted. You know what I'm saying? That's all we ever. We cut a lot of good people this week. You know what I'm saying? We cut some good people.
When you're a good team, you cut good guys.
Right. So we all right now, Yeah. We lost people, and then people signing people off our waiver wires and all that. Like, damn.
Mm-hmm.
He was good.
So Dale, are you ready to crown the Lions? I mean, realistic headline: the Lions win the North. I mean, is this? Yeah,
I am. I think that one of the things that we don't look at is the lines, the offensive and defensive lines, and the offensive line of the Detroit Lions is really, really good.
Yes, they are.
And Jahmyr Gibbs doesn't have to be great, and David Montgomery is just a guy, right? But he's a 4 yards a carry guy, and that's all you need. And then you bring in Jahmyr Gibbs as a change of pace guy, and he goes off for 70 at a time.
Right.
So that, because their line is so good, and against the Packers in week 17 or 18 or whatever it was, I couldn't believe how good their defensive line played, because I don't know who the fuck these guys are. Like, they're all a bunch of dudes, and they played so well. They dominated. The Packers' offensive line couldn't do anything with the defensive line of the Lions in the last week of the season. So for those reasons, those two lines, I think the Lions are definitely the best team in the North.
You saw that same thing against the Vikings when they beat them late in the season too. The defense from Detroit is very underrated. That's a good defense that's going to win a lot of games. I mean, Jared Goff is a very experienced quarterback too. That's won a lot of playoff games. He took a team to a Super Bowl and damn close to winning it. So I mean, that's a legitimate team. It's a legitimate quarterback, and it's hard to say because it's the Lions. But if they weren't the Lions and that was the Bears team or the Packers, they would be easily picked as number. They already are picked as the favorite, but they would be head and shoulders above the favorite for us.
I never like, any of those arguments of, they haven't done it, or, even with the Packers, they're like, well, we've had, Hall of Fame quarterback. We did it like, Aaron Rodgers sat for 3 years. Those historically, I mean, for me, I want to look at the roster right now, the coach right now. I mean, Dan Campbell, the culture has changed in Detroit. I mean, I went to Allen Park, went to the training camp and saw firsthand. And other than, they were really, they made sure anybody in the stands could not take pictures or video during the practice because they were mentioning Belichick, and it was that was a little odd.
Cheater, yes.
Yeah.
Packers don't do it either. Packers won't let you videotape practice either.
They don't care as much. I
No?
mean, they'll say something, but not like in Detroit. Like in Detroit, they were actually coming up into the stands and pointing single people out. Like in Green Bay, when I went there, they would turn and say, "Stop it," but they wouldn't. It was not the same level in Detroit. It just was not. But when you look at some of these guys, I mean. We haven't talked about the Lions linebackers, and I really, obviously Malcolm Rodriguez has been solid, but he's not even the best one right now, is he? Like
Barnes been playing real good. Finally,
Derek Barnes, yes.
He always been very athletic. He just didn't have it here. Now he's 3 years this is 3rd year with the playbook. He's finally just playing. And he's fast. He's 86 speed on man, if that means anything. Like he's fast, he's strong, he can pass rush, he can do all that. But he just never had it here. And he's finally coming all together. I think drafting Campbell kind of put a little fire under his ass because now Campbell, he might not start because how well Barnes is playing. But he'll be in the game. He's just too big and athletic. And he covers better than we expected him to. He a little bit tough against faster running backs, which is pretty hard for every running back if you're not Tampa Bay Bucks, you know what I'm saying, with them two fast linebackers. But he's good. He's finally coming together,
Well, yeah, I mean, Jack Campbell, another player, and I did. I went around to all 4 training camps. I did take the ball, and I had Kirby Joseph sign it, and I did.
I love Kirby.
He was signed actually with his helmet with the visor down. And I handed him, I said, "This is an NFC North ball. You're probably going to own the NFC North this year." And he was agreeing to that. So, but yeah, I mean, so when you look at Detroit, it is realistic. And I'm sure it's weird for the honest Lions fans, because there's some that I talked to training camp that were like, it's hard to actually say Lions NFC North champions, but I just think it's going to happen.
Bro, I went to a Lions game last year. And that's the game we played against the Washington Redskins. We were up on the Redskins by like 20 points, right?
I mean, the Commanders now.
Everybody at halftime was nervous.
You can't get too happy about that.
And then I felt it. And I'm like, wow, we all feel like this. So we know our team. You know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't all good until the game's over. I remember when Aaron Rodgers threw the touchdown at the end of the game when they cheated with the face mask and everything. My father said, "Look, man,
that's how it is."
I said, "Dad, they just called it's not over yet." I was at work. I was about to go home. I was about to throw up. I was so sick. So sick. So sick. So you never know with us. So yes, I understand why everyone is a little apprehensive about, giving Lions the crown. I understand. But I'm here. I'm telling you now. When it's my turn, I'm going to be a little bit abusive. I'm telling you now. This is why God has never
earned that right.
Yeah, that's not bad. Bob Quinn had a comment here. Barnes switched positions to linebacker senior at Purdue, yes. And that's why he was slow. He was learning an entirely new position. That's a great nugget there. Thanks, Bob, on that one.
He must be really Bob Quinn. That's the only thing Bob Quinn left the Detroit Lions is a solid offensive line. Thanks, Bob, for that.
Well, talking about a solid team all around, my Chicago Bears.
I'm sorry. Hold up. How is Edmonds doing?
He is
hot
he's the same
garbage.
place that David Bakhtiari is. I think they're hanging out. Same place.
Bakhtiari can play, he just can't get on the field anymore. Okay.
Well, right. That's Edmonds. Yeah, it's kind of this mystery. We don't know what's going on with him.
So glad we didn't try to get him.
That's the thing I do worry about when realistically some of the injuries. Obviously, offensive line, that is going to be a worry because you want to make sure Justin Fields has time. Obviously, I am a believer in Justin Fields. I'm not a truther saying he's going to be an MVP. I do think he's going to improve. I mean, you saw that with, just the preseason, throw to DJ because you add that extra talent. I think that's going to help. Justin Fields definitely needs to kind of, calm down in his throws and just a lot of different things he needs to kind of, show. I think he takes the next step, but realistically, I'm looking at a 9-8 Bears season. I was kind of in the 9-10 range, but I think realistically 9-8 for me, that would be a fantastic jump. And they would really, Ryan Poles has talked about this being a 3-year rebuild, and to go from the worst team in football to 9 wins, I think that would be incredible improvement. And they've done a lot, with the defense. I really I think the Bears secondary is being slept on. I think they're going to be better. Tyreek Stevenson, he's a beast. That secondary, it's going to be tested, obviously, when they play the Vikings. Probably not when they play the Packers as much, but the Bears front is going to be tested versus the Packers. So it's going to be interesting. That's what I worry about. I do think the Bears win week 1, but I think it's going to be 9-8. So what are your thoughts on that, Craig?
Like I said, I'm not a Justin Fields believer. I think it's the year you give up on him. I think it's the 6-11, and and it's finally time to draft another quarterback when you're picking in the top 5 again. I think it's not really fair on Justin Fields either. I think that roster, I think, is not great to me. I'm not seeing anything I love about that roster. I know they brought in Claypool and DJ Moore, and they think they're getting some receivers, but I don't think those are receivers you kind of write home about. I mean, I think they're top 30, top 45 receivers, but they're not like top end receivers. I don't think you have much there.
DJ Moore's not a top
Moore's
10
good. DJ Moore's good.
He's
good. He's good.
I mean,
Mooney,
if you
maybe
start talking top 10, you can go through a lot of people. Really
never
quick.
had a quarterback, really.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you're kind of.
I heard that.
There, but I don't think you can kind of squeeze him in the top 10. I mean, wide receivers, when you start listing them out, that list gets long really fast.
Mm-hmm.
He's fine, but I don't think Fields. I don't know. I don't see it with Fields. I think that's where I'm struggling with it. I think the defense isn't great. I think the rest of the roster, outside of a couple of decent receivers, isn't great. I'm not seeing it. And like you said, you're the worst team in the NFL. 6-11 would be an improvement. A 3-win improvement is pretty massive in this league. To win 9 games, I think is very optimistic. 6-game improvement is massive, and if that is, then I'm wrong on Fields. If they win 9 games, that means I am 100% wrong on Fields, and he's developing, and he's going to be the quarterback of the future for you.
Well, it seems like Detroit wants Fields and more.
I want more. I don't want Fields. You can have all that fast, funky, fresh quarterback shit. I don't want that.
You have Hendon Hooker, don't you?
I want a statue. Give me a statue. I don't need all that running. It get hurt too much.
I think
that's
Ben
all you need to say
Roethlisberger.
about Fields. You'll take off over Fields.
I will take off over Fields. Yes, but I do want Fields to do good for this. You know why? I want him to do well because he really, really tried. He's working very, very hard. He wants to be good.
I agree.
That's different. That's so I want him to do well. I really, truly, honestly do. You know what I'm saying? But
I want that whole lazy Ohio State quarterback stereotype to just go away as well.
That too. Yeah, that too. Because it's a couple of guys came. What was my man's name? He was fat though. He was kind of overweight. What was his name? I forgot. He was a big guy. I remember.
I was going to throw to Dale.
Stroud.
Dale was going to throw to you, but I feel like that's not a very good. You're talking about fat.
Speaking of fat, Dale, what do you think about the Packers?
Dale, what do you think about my Bears prediction? Do you feel it's realistic to be 9-8?
I'm not sure that it is. Again, I've told you a million times, I think Justin Fields is a talented dude. I think, yes, he's going to have to make a huge jump in this year to get them to 9 wins. You know, I was not a huge big when they signed Tremaine Edmonds, I was like, you just burned a bunch of cash. You should have just thrown it out the window. His numbers don't show that he's ever done anything except for like the 1 year he had a great year. I think that he is not what they want him to be. Their offensive line still isn't very good and is injured. I mean, if they got to start Lucas Patrick, they're in big trouble.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they are middle. I mean, I think 9 wins would be amazing. I think they're between 6 and 9, somewhere in there.
I'm saying I think I would say 8 wins. I think the defense is better. I think another problem, y'all really couldn't stop nobody last year either.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, just being able to get off the field a little more this year, I think you guys will win a couple more games. So I see 8 wins. This division as a whole will be a lot more competitive.
Yep.
Well, and you look at it too. I mean, I'm optimistic because you look at the schedule. I mean, Tampa Bay, I think, is tanking. Right?
Somebody else gave what's the name a chance. Oh my God, yo, he's
Baker.
horrible.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm excited to see Baker week 1.
Well, I'm sure you are.
I'm sure. Yes.
Brian Flores needs a good start for his defense.
For real. Oh my God.
And Arizona's tanking as well. So
Oh,
I mean,
God.
so the it's really hard to say you got a gimme in the NFL, but you got these teams, and when you have talent, I mean, obviously, you can have great coaching, but talent wins out. Especially quarterback. I mean, if Fields is able to, him and Moore have that connection, I think that'll at least, improve the team. So, moving on to the Packers. All right. Let's see. What did John Bradshaw say here? Packers, you can give us Alexander, and Vikings can give us Jefferson. Yeah. Jair. Oh, okay. That's a great question. Jair is talking about how good he is. Are you on the Jair bandwagon, Dale?
Yeah. I mean, he's top 3 or 4 corner in the league.
Yeah, he's good.
I don't think – I mean, as a Packer fan, like, I'm a huge homer to him. But if you look at the way the man plays, it's hard to argue with what he's done. When Justin Jefferson went off against the Packers, it wasn't against Alexander. It's the fact that the Packers can't play zone and pass guys off to other players. Like that's not a Jair Alexander thing. That guy can play, and he runs his mouth. That makes him one of my favorite Packers. Like, when you can run your mouth and play, we don't have too many of those in Green Bay. So I love that dude, and especially with Jalen Ramsey hurt. I don't know if there isn't 5 guys better than him in the league for sure.
Yeah. All right. So Green Bay Packers season realistic headline is.
The realistic headline is that Jordan Love improves over the season and becomes a competent NFL quarterback, and the defense finally plays up to its billing. I think the Packers, realistically, I know I said 10 wins. That's a homer pick. That's on the homer side of things. I think it's probably closer to 7 or 8 wins. And, if the teams are tanking at the end and the Packers, it's all about how well you're playing at the end of the season, right? Seventh Letter said it before, but both of you guys said it. If you can get into the playoffs, or if you can start rolling at the right time when other teams are going in the wrong direction, maybe you win games you shouldn't, right? They're not going to beat the Kansas Cities of the world. That's not happening. But there's a lot of games on the schedule that you don't know. You don't know what they're going to do. I mean, at Chicago, Atlanta, like the first 4 games of the season, well, the first 3, I'll say, who knows what the Packers are going to be. And if you start off well, or if you get a run in the middle of the season, who knows? But the realistic headline is 7 or 8 wins, I think.
Yeah, I mean, some interesting wins or games versus at Pittsburgh can be tough. But at Atlanta, maybe on the turf, maybe that's a chance for the wide receivers, the speedy wide receivers to kind of get off. Maybe Jaden Reed has a good game.
Well, and you're playing Atlanta at the right time because they're super young, right? I would not want to play them in week 13 or 14 when those rookies are no longer rookies and you see what they got. But when in week 3 or week 2 or whatever it is, that's going to be a week to play them when they still don't have their, they're not ready for things. I don't know. Well, it's so hard to tell. I mean, when you look at the other teams in the North, well, at least Detroit and Minnesota, you know what you have at quarterback, right? Mm-hmm. And you can pencil those guys in probably for 6 wins on their own. Like Kirk Cousins is a good player. Jared Goff is a good player. They're not going to lose games for you. Will Jordan Love win games or will he lose games for the Packers? I mean, he didn't throw a pick in the preseason, but it's the preseason. Mm-hmm. The regular season bullets start to fly. He might start throwing to the wrong team over and over again, and then who knows? Or, it's such a wild card and such a question mark at the quarterback spot for Green Bay. You just don't know.
Craig, are you kind of similar 7-8 wins Packers?
Yeah, I think 8-9 last year with a Hall of Fame quarterback, and you take him away, and your top couple of wide receivers away too. I don't. The offense is the weak spot, obviously, of the Packers, and that's the first time you can say that in a long time. I mean, that defense is good, so I think you're going to get 6 wins, with the defense. But I don't think much more than 6 wins, just because I think there's a lack of talent on that offense, skill position players. I don't think it's there. I mean, obviously the running back Aaron Jones, he's great. He's a top end running back. But I think defenses, at least early on, to be queuing up to stop the running game, and Jordan Love's going to have to prove he can pass the ball. And if he can, then maybe it could be 8-9 win season. But I think 6. 7 wins, something like that is realistic.
Speaking of the running game, Dale, what were your thoughts when you heard the Packers were the mystery team in on Jonathan Taylor?
We're always in on every guy, right? If you listen to any of the headlines, we're on JJ Watt. We're like, we make the phone call and we hang up right away. Like just to say we made the phone call. Yeah. I would have loved Jonathan Taylor. He's a great player, right? I mean,
Wisconsin
I heard
guy.
That Indianapolis wanted Dylan, Christian Watson, and a 1.
Wow.
For Jonathan Taylor, which means they really don't want to trade him, right? I think what I read was the Packers were offering a 3rd-round pick and A.J. Dillon, which might be a little bit light, but the Packers aren't letting go of Christian Watson no matter what.
That would have been a terrible trade. Yeah.
It's nonsense. Nobody's doing that.
And they asked for Waddle from the Dolphins.
Yeah.
I think the Packers they'll be all right. I think if you're looking at Hard Knocks and you hear Aaron, I think the aura and the negative energy that Aaron Rodgers went into last season with also affected the Packers in a lot of ways. As involved as he is with the Jets right now, like that, I'm like, look at him. He's at like spring training. He's playing in preseason games and shit.
Right.
Like, that don't happen.
That's like 2012. When is the last time Aaron Rodgers in a preseason game?
He's sitting with the receivers, patting people on it. Like that wasn't him in Green Bay. And I think and it was all rookie wide receivers last year. And they all were good. Like I was seeing flashes of great in all of them last year.
Yep. Didn't show up for OTAs, didn't show up for didn't.
Right. Yeah. So you need cohesion with the quarterback. So I just think even with that extra, Love coming in with a certain humbleness that Aaron Rodgers didn't have and working with the wide receivers actually. I think that it might be different. So 9-10 wins ain't that far-fetched, especially if the defense plays up to its talent level or to its draft status. You know what I'm saying? It could be that's what I'm saying. Like it might be closer Detroit and Green Bay than Detroit and the Vikings, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's hard for me to swallow that, right? But
they draft well. The Packers draft well,
But the problem is too, and I think let me go back here. Bob Quinn had brought it up earlier. Packers defense lacks discipline. Just make sure personal trainers are close to the sideline.
I swear they lost that game for him last year. That man,
that
linebacker bugging out and pulling like when he got kicked out the game, we flew right in that spot.
Yeah.
Right in that spot.
Yeah. That's a good point, actually. Seventh letter. The Packers defense, their frontline defense is very good, meaning they're starters.
Right.
You get to linebacker 3, it's Isaiah McDuffie. Isaiah McDuffie doesn't belong in the league. Like, he's a special teams guy only. So if Quay Walker goes down or Devondre Campbell goes down, we can't stop anybody. We have no depth, none on defense. So yeah, if Quay Walker gets thrown out on a couple more games, boy.
Might have to start throwing Quay Walker some money to do it on purpose.
Word up, or we can get him and the defensive tackle out of there. What's up, Wyatt? Did he bug out too?
Yeah, those Georgia guys hang together.
They do.
So John Bradshaw had this comment about the Amon-Ra would cook Jair, I believe he was talking about.
We'll see.
Well,
yeah.
I think
they're going to play him twice.
I mean, he plays on the outside.
Amon-Ra
plays inside.
Yep.
So I don't know. Like, they always like he Amon-Ra is that's our Hines Ward. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not fast, he's not big, he's not any of those things. He just knows how to sit in that little pocket, sit in that little hole for Jared to see him, and he's just tough when he gets the ball. Like,
he's a good player.
He like in person, like seeing him, like you could just tell he was that much better. That I mean, just the catches he was making, nonchalant. I mean, just obviously, most receivers make some of those one-handed catches now, NFL receivers, but you could just tell. I mean, you can tell when a receiver is an NFL type receiver. I mean, I remember even seeing like Allen Robinson when he was with the Bears compared to the other Bear receivers. I mean, he was just, that much better at that point than the other Bear receivers, which is not saying much, right? But I mean, Amon-Ra is, I'm getting him on most of my fantasy teams because I like, I think, well, especially with J-Mo, he's probably going to be the focus.
Oh, he's going to get the ball. He's going to get the ball. Yeah, he's getting the ball. Definitely. That's his blanket. He always going to throw the Amon-Ra.
What about the tight end? Is he get
Laporta?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he getting the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And he break tackles. He's not Hawkinson.
Whoa, are you saying? I thought you were saying something good about Hawkinson.
Hell, man, TJ Hawkinson is a nice person.
He is.
Right? He's a nice person. Right? He just ain't breaking no tackles. He's running out of bounds. That's it. He's falling or running out of bounds.
Craig, I'll allow you to retort.
Breaking tackles. Period. All right. He don't block. TJ Hawkinson ain't blocking. He ain't doing none of that. He's a finesseful tight end. And you know what he doing to y'all right now? I knew he was going to pull that shit with us. So I'm glad we traded him. Man, we got a second round pick for him and picked the guy that took his place where we traded him for. I knew he was going to do that. He going to win a whole bunch of money. Ever since he started hanging at the tight end, what they call it, the tight end university, with all them, I knew he was going to win a lot of money. I knew it. Get his ass out of here. Because all those yards, they look like he's really doing something, and he's not really doing nothing.
What are your thoughts, Craig?
Producing. TJ Hawkinson did nothing but produce for the Vikings last year. I mean, the last play of the season obviously hurts when that should have never been thrown to him. That's not his fault. He has a back. I mean, he's running backwards, and they threw it to him for a 3-yard out on a 4th down and long. So I mean, but he did nothing but produce for the for the Vikings last year. I mean, he was a great addition to the team. He was a good red zone addition. He was a good first down getter for the team. He produced, and that's all I can say is he had a half a season with him, and he was solid for the team. I think he improved that offense, and I think he's a chain mover. He's not going to go break a tackle ever. Basically, he's not going to block for you either. He's not a tight end really. He's a thick wide receiver. I mean, he's going to go out, he's going to run the route, and he's going to catch the ball in traffic, and that's what he does. And that's what he's going to get. He's going to pay a lot of money because he does it.
But he wants to set the market with that skill set.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's silliness.
He's an Iowa tight end.
That's the problem, right?
Whatever. Get off my team.
I mean, to me, it's I see him like I see Kirk Cousins, where it's like, yeah, he's great. He's better than average. He's really good. But, like, man, you don't want to give him a boatload of money.
You know what they call Kirk Cousins is a trap.
Yeah, that's exactly. I mean,
he's too good to get out of here because if you get rid of him, you ain't gonna really find too much better than him because you know how quarterbacks are to come by. Tight end, you can let them walk. Seriously.
Yeah, that's
y'all was all right. Y'all can find a tight end. You know, we after we traded him away, we got 10 touchdowns out of 3 different tight ends.
I mean, I think you're definitely underselling him a bit. I mean,
I had him for 3 years. He's my child.
I know
he's
that.
my kid. He's my kid. He's my kid. I know him. Like, I know him. I know him. He always drop balls. If you hit him in the back too hard, he's dropping the ball. Like, that's him. He missed blocks to get our quarterback killed. That's
him. Yeah, you don't want him blocking.
That's him. That's where you draft a tight end that high. And that's probably why I dislike him so much, because where we drafted him, which is not his fault. But when he did that, he wants an unprecedented deal to set the market for tight ends. I knew he was going to do that shit. I knew.
Yeah, when you look at tight ends, I mean, it's going to be interesting draft wise. Brock Bowers coming out of Georgia is going to be a high tight end. It is really hard in today's NFL to draft a tight end that high. I mean, Kyle Pitts, all that, and I mean, yes, draft wise, you want a young, good tight end, right? But I mean, it's there's so many serviceable tight ends that have been enough. I mean, there aren't. There's only a few like Kelsey, and even Kittle,
those are market setters.
Well, even Kittle's that good, but he's been hurt, right? So production wise falls off, and because they try to do too much. I'm an Iowa fan, so a lot of times Iowa tight ends try to do too much, but it is tight end you. So yeah, it is tough to give a tight end that kind of money
unless you're producing like Kelsey or like what we know Kittle can do. Like TJ Hawkinson, he gets yards. Like, whatever. He was gonna do good for the Vikings because everybody's back trying to guard 18. So he's gonna be on the linebacker for the most part. Like, so that's why he did well. But it's not touchdowns. It's not Kelsey. It's not that. It's no explosion.
Oh, nobody's Kelsey.
But that's that's the guy you set the tight end market with.
That's the one in the NFL though. I mean, I think if you're looking at Hawkinson, I mean, you have a hard argument telling me he's not top 5. I mean, you got Andrews, maybe that's better than him. You have Kelsey, that's obviously better. You have Kittle, that's better. But then who else is there that's better than him?
Goddard, maybe. Goddard's up there. Freiermuth is emerging with the Steelers.
These are people that like can block.
Emerging,
I'd take. When I look at tight ends, I just want them to block. Like,
maybe Luke Musgrave is going to be there sometime.
Best tight end in the conference is in Green Bay.
I knew you couldn't say that with straight face, though.
Oh, I was trying to.
He can be good.
No poker face.
When you look at team wise and skill positions, overall, I think the Lions have overall skill positions, young skill positions. The Packers do have a lot. I mean, they got running backs, wide receivers. I think Jaden Reed, it might be a player. Musgrave could turn into something. But obviously, and we'll find out with Fields as well, when you talk about an NFL team, you can have all the talent around it, but the quarterback has to perform, has to do it. And, if they don't, it doesn't matter. You have to move on. And obviously we'll see with Jordan Love.
We'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. If you look at the NFC North, though, like Cousins doesn't have too many years left, right? I mean, he's not going to be in Minnesota forever.
This might be his last year, right?
What's that?
This might be his last year
contract.
Yeah, it's his last year.
Jared Goff has got, I think, 2 years, maybe a year or two left. Like the turnover of quarterbacks could be the entire division if Fields and Love can't play.
Yeah.
Rev Trev put out, he, I think, sent a little video that what if maybe Love just doesn't perform this year and the Packers go ahead and sign Kirk Cousins.
No, thank you.
How?
I don't want to win 9 games and then just shit the bed in the playoffs. I don't want that.
Kirk Cousins could do something with those receivers.
He could. He's a good player, but he's not a prime time guy for me. Like, the chips are down. I don't want Kirk as my quarterback.
Yeah, it's like Stafford. Like Stafford can get there. You know what I'm saying?
Get
like
you there.
he can go here. But Kirk Cousins will keep you here. You know what I'm saying?
Stafford was thought about the same way until he won it.
But I knew who my boy was. I knew he just was on our team. He was on bad Lions teams. I knew he was extremely talented. I knew that he had his arm strength and arm talent was too much. And when he got with somebody that had some receivers and they finally gave him some speed, it was going to be over. I knew it. I knew he was going to win the Super Bowl. I said, he fuck around and win the MVP. That's what that's how highly I think of my son, Matthew, man. I know now it's about to get tough over there.
I don't know. I think Matthew got lucky when he won that Super Bowl because he threw that game-losing pick against the 49ers and they dropped it on him. I mean, he was not clutch at all in that Super Bowl run. And against that.
That no-look pass? That no-look pass during the Super Bowl?
He blew the game, but they dropped it. I mean, it was the easiest interception you've ever seen in your life. And
he dropped it. That's just life.
Well, yeah,
Tom Brady built the whole legacy off.
Kirk Cousins put up a ton of points in the playoffs and lost because his defense sucked.
Hey, man, he dropped the interception. That's the 49ers' fault.
Well, but they get called clutch a minute later and say he won the Super Bowl. Like,
he played his ass off in the playoffs. He destroyed. He made Tom Brady retire and come back. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know because he's not scared. Matthew Stafford, in his brain.
Oh no, he's a baller. I mean, he gets hit hard.
Yeah. Stafford thinks he's the best quarterback on earth.
Oh yeah.
He think he gonna. I don't care. Like, I never cared about his interceptions because I knew he was just trying. Like, I never cared because I knew he would go back down the field. His arm is too ridiculous. I knew it. Like, I knew it. Now they got. He's over there in the Rams and he don't got nobody. He to the point now. He like, I don't even know.
I think he's done. I think he's ready to retire.
Yeah. Well, speaking of obviously retiring for the night, but talent, you guys all brought it tonight. It's been a lot of fun. I definitely appreciate everyone joining us. Craig, where can everyone find you?
I write for the Daily Norseman, kicking back off the season. I'll have my season preview coming out in a week or so, right before the start of week 1, and then I usually have a couple articles coming out a week. Or you can follow me on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it these days, GA_Skull.
Great stuff. And Seventh Letter, where can everyone find you?
Find me on Twitter, Seventh Letter 04 on Twitter, same OG on Instagram and Facebook. Las Vegas to Detroit sports radio show. We out here, man. King of the North.
Hey, that's going to be a fire podcast this year with the Lions and the Raiders, huh?
I don't know, man. We kind of distant now, so I don't know. I think I talk too much shit to him, man. I don't know. I hope we could get back together, but we'll see. That's my brother, man. He gets mad at me because I got, I treat men like men.
All good, and we treat even the Packer fans like men as well. So thanks again for joining us, Dale. Where can everyone find you?
Yeah, you can find us on Twitter at AvgCheese. You can also find us on the internet, www.avgcheese.com.
Awesome. Thanks again, guys. Once again, it's been Freezin 4 NFC North Podcast, episode 56. We will be back next week, and we're going to do a week 1 preview. It's going to be a good one, and we'll definitely do some homer takes and reality takes for that as well. Thanks again, guys.
All right, man.
Thanks, man.
Y'all be safe, guys. Have a good night.